Welcome back to the Compound Podcast. This is episode 179, presented by Parse Rum. My favorite rum, your favorite rum, Parse Rum. Go to your local Binny's, go to your local liquor store, ask about Parse. Dakota, you are in Michigan.
Correct.
The great state of Michigan. Can you tell us what the weather is in Michigan right now?
It's currently 48 degrees. It's supposed to be 55 the next 2 weeks. It's chance of rain today.
What's the low tonight?
Let's see. The low tonight. Of course, my screen's frozen as you put me on the spot. All right. I mean, it gets to like 46 overnight. It's not too bad. Sounds like
some nice weather to have yourself a little glass of Parse rum, huh?
Exactly. No better time.
Warm you up a little bit.
100%. This is my favorite time of year. I love this weather.
The best.
I like when it's like 50.
A little window
60.
crack too.
Oh yeah, nice and cold when you're sleeping. Woo.
Zack, where are you?
I'm in Connecticut. A little bit warmer here. It's 61 today, low of 49 tonight. Same thing, you know. Maybe watch some playoff baseball with a glass of Parse. What?
Do you guys have like a yard, Zack?
No. We I mean, cross
like enough room.
Yeah.
I was gonna say enough room to have like a fire. Like there's nothing better than a fire in the fall.
Dude,
with a glass of Parse.
We had a few college guys together this weekend. I mean, Saturday night or Friday night fire, just chopping. God, man.
That's your dream scenario, is sitting around a fire chopping.
You know, you can't beat some things in life, and that's one of them.
Tom, you're in New York?
New York City. I'm sitting in Brooklyn.
I love when Tom has to unmute himself because he stays on mute.
I'm in Austin. I timed up the weather very nicely and left Chicago when it got down below 60 and got here and it was 80 degrees. It was 75 yesterday. I was playing golf. It was really wonderful. I did forget my microphone. I was like having all the stuff to pack and I was like, oh yeah, pack this, pack that. 97% sure I left my microphone on the desk in my condo right where I had recorded last. And so I texted Tom in a panic yesterday. I said, Tom, I don't have a microphone. Yeah, tell me what I need to get. So we shipped this baby in on Amazon. Tom said it's the creme de la creme. And let me tell you, I feel.
Wait, time out.
You can adjust your volume on it even.
Wait,
you can do everything on this.
Dakota, you're still grinding with a handheld mic.
Well, he said he got it. No, he said he got it on Amazon. No, Ian bought it.
Oh,
I bought it on Amazon.
Okay.
I was trust me, when I first got on, I was like, what's happening here? I go, I'm still holding this thing like a bum. And Ian's sitting here adjusting his volume. I got one button on or off. That's it.
I'll be expecting reimbursement from the company, but we can figure that out after the pod, right, Tom?
You're an investor, so you'd be reimbursing yourself.
That's exactly right. There's been some good playoff baseball games. Let's talk about playoff baseball. I guess we haven't recorded since the wild card series. I saw some clips out there of some people saying wild card series stunk. Blah, blah. You know what? Just because there was 4 sweeps, just because we didn't get any game 3 drama, doesn't mean it stunk. There were some great performances.
You know,
Go ahead.
Dakota. You know, like people complained about 163 because it's like, oh, it's not a real series. You don't get the best teams in. And now they're complaining about 2 sweeps.
4.
And it's like, what do you want? You know, because if those games went 3 games, like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. And it's like, bro, what do you got? Like, Diamondbacks beat the Brewers. Diamondbacks are now up 2-0 on the Dodgers. Like, they are a good team. Like, it happens.
Well, it's funny because you see people like tweeting like we should just have winner take all wild cards. Like go back to that. I'm like, everyone was clamoring for 3-game wild cards. It happens and it's 4 sweeps and you're like, no, 1 game takes all is better now. It's like, no, like just because it didn't work out for any game 3s doesn't mean one's better or like that. It's not the right move.
And there were upsets, you know, the Brewers win the division, you know, the DBacks get in. DBacks take 2 in a row. They looked really good, like a really good baseball
on the road too. Like it's not like I mean the D-backs are like, sorry to cut you off, but like they play the Dodgers 13 times a year. Like it's a hard division, bro. Like it's hard.
It's a hard division, and their bullpen sets up really well for the playoffs. You know, we saw it those last couple of weeks. We hadn't seen them until September, and you face that team. You know, Merrill Kelly and Zack Gallen are legit starting pitching, and then their bullpen, and they had to, the way that the wild card was set up, which it benefited the Brewers for running away with the division and being rested, and they had their guys going. Woodruff got hurt, but they had Burns going to game 1, and the D-backs had to play hard to get in, and then they have to start their number 3 starter. And he goes 2 2.2 or 3 innings. He gets hit around a little
2
bit.
1/3.
And then they had to go full bullpen game to get the win. And their bullpen shut it down. They're built really well. They're deep in the bullpen. They're built really well for that. And so they take game 1, and then they get, I think Gallen was on the mound for game 2, right?
Mhm.
And then they end up taking game 2, and like they were in a not the best position to start that series, and they end up winning the game and going on 2-0, and then getting the rest to go face the Dodgers, which they came out hot, and they had Merrill go in game 1 and Gallen go in game 2,
Shoved. Both of
and
them
they're up 2-0.
shoved.
And
Dude.
so that's they're a good baseball team. They deserve to be there. I think that's why those teams get in the playoffs, because now you see that like that's a legit baseball
Dude,
team.
have you, like, speaking of good teams, Dakota, sorry again.
No, you're good.
But like Corbin Carroll, nasty. 15 years old, whatever he is, he's going to be nasty. And then like you have Marte, second baseman. He, for whatever reason, is the most underrated, not talked about player in baseball. And like I had to look, I was like, all right, what's the baggage here? Why is nobody talking about him? Bro, he bangs, and he plays a very good second base, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But like he is a very good baseball player, and nobody talks about him. Is that because he's in Arizona? But like, I mean, dude.
276, 843 OPS, 25 homers, 82 ribbies.
Bro,
pretty
as
good.
A second baseman too, like the only one who probably has more power numbers is Ozzy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's been awesome. He had more homers this year. The only other year in 19, he hit 32. This is the only other time in his career he's gone over 20. But he's been a super productive player. He's got a 114 OPS plus career, and he's only been below average. 2020, he had a 97 OPS plus. He hasn't been a below average offensive player since 2017, when he was 23 years old and played 73 games. Since 2018, since he became an everyday dude with the D-backs, he's put up great numbers. He's won. He was an all-star, and he finished 4th in the MVP in 19. He's been super, super productive. They've I think one of the reasons why he's a little bit not talked about, he also walked more this year than he has in his career, but one of the reasons he's not talked about is because he signed deals with the D-backs. He's kind of like quietly signed. He signed an extension early, and then he quietly signed, I think, another like 3-year deal recently. And he's just kind of quietly been with that team and an anchor there. And it's awesome to see that now that they've built this team up with these good young players, that he's getting to actually show on the spotlight, and like he's legit. And from the right side, as a switch hitter, he's has been better through his career from the right side. And like he's one of those dudes that when you have a lefty in there and he's hitting righty, which is not typical for switch hitters, he bangs.
And Christian Walker too. Hang on, look at his numbers.
Christian Walker is super underrated. Christian Walker is an unbelievable
I was reading an article
college.
about him the other day. Like, he was just somebody who never really got an opportunity. I think he came up with, I forgot who he had. Oh, Chris Davis, I believe he had in front of him with the Orioles.
Yeah, he came up with the Orioles, and he was blocked.
And then when Goldie was at first with the Diamondbacks, like I was reading this article, and it's just like, hey man, sorry, like,
yep,
tough. But I mean, this year hit 33 homers, 103 RBI, 11 bags as a first baseman, 830 OPS, and a 123 OPS plus.
He was good last year too,
almost a 4 WAR.
He was good last year too. He was the best. He was the best defender at first base in baseball. Won the Gold Glove last year, and it like wasn't close. And
yeah,
he was a dude who came out of South Carolina, played college ball at South Carolina, and he took over at South Carolina for Justin Smoke, and then he was a dude there. And just kind of kept getting blocked. And he did some stuff with his swing. I know, like when he was finally getting a chance to play, and created a little bit more leverage, a little bit more juice, and just because he was always in there, he just had to hit the ball in the air more, and he has been really, really good. And
That's
when he
what
played, watching him play first, oof.
Dude, and it's just somebody like when we played them, we got swept. And it was just like a lineup that just almost like didn't stop. And then like you're looking at the middle and it's like, man, like Christian Walker, it's like it's not somebody that is like, hey man, you're talking about first baseman who bang. Like Diamondbacks have Christian Walker. It's just like he comes up and you look at the scoreboard, it's like 830, 840 OPS, and you're just like, fuck, like these guys are good, bro. Like they are good. And they got Seawald at the deadline. I mean, bro.
And how well did that trade play out that when they traded Varsho for Moreno and Lourdes Gurriel?
Dude, Moreno, dude.
Did you
remember
there was some point in the year where like Moreno got hurt and they showed like the D-backs record before he got hurt, then when he was hurt, and then when he came back, and it was like crazy the win differential.
So I could be wrong, but I think he came back, or I know he played against us. I remember looking at the scoreboard and he was like 20 or 21 years old. And I'm like, oh, like this is a nice prospect. I remember his name from the trade. Like, oh, see how he is. Bro, just like loud. And I was, dude, this dude is legit.
Yeah.
It's just, for whatever reason, you don't think about the D-backs. And even going into the Brewers, I was like, oh, I mean, that place is going to be a zoo. Like they may go game 3, but there's no way they're winning 2 in a row. The Brewers were the hottest team in baseball. You know, I don't know the numbers, whatever, but I mean, hot down the stretch. And then they go in and score 6 runs off Kershaw without an out, bro.
You think the D-backs?
It reminds me of the Phillies last year, where it's just like the team that is doubted, that is walking in there basically, I don't want to say with house money because they're a really good team, but like, hey, man, nobody's talking about us. Let's go break some hearts.
You think they're not talked about because they don't, I mean, outside of like Corbin Carroll, like I feel like they don't have a big name guy. Like Christian Walker hits in the 3-4 hole. Like they got Tommy Pham, like, but I feel like it's just a collection of like good players, like no like superstar names.
You would say like Zack Gallen's like their biggest name, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I could be ignorant. I don't know. I mean, could be wrong, but
I don't think people have, given enough credit to what Zack Gallen has been able to do the last couple of years. We faced him in AAA in 19 when he was still with the Marlins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, this guy's
he was
be
unbelievable.
Good.
He walked out to Let the Beat build by Lil Wayne, and I was like, this guy's nasty.
I played with him in summer ball one year and went to UNC, I think first or second rounder, and I was just like, it kind of went without saying. It was just like, yo, like this guy's a little different out there. He's kind of got everything going for him, and then he starts to throw harder, and it's like, wow, he really has everything going.
Wasn't he traded for? Wasn't it Jazz Chisholm for him?
He was traded.
Yeah,
he was traded.
And Ozuna too, right? He's traded from the Cardinals too, and the Marlins.
Yeah, he was traded from the Cardinals to the Marlins, and then from the so that was the Ozuna trade, I believe, and then he was traded from the Marlins to the D-backs for Chisholm, and that's worked out great for them. I just want to go back to Moreno really quick. We played him, same thing. I was like, hadn't played against him, hadn't really seen what he'd been doing that year. He's got a hand cannon, first of all. He's got a rocket launcher attached to his right arm, but he controls the game really well for a young guy back there. And then his ability to hit, he was hitting like 280.
Yeah.
And like not a ton of thump, but like
284.
He backed some backside singles. He walked us off one day, but like some just like really good at bats and backside singles. And it was like, and they just stick him in the 7 hole. They just like let him hit 7th or 8th. And, he's hitting like 280 and has production at the bottom of their order for them. It's like pretty impressive.
Well, that's the thing is their lineup's just so deep. Like I think Longoria was in the 8 hole last night. Like not that he's had an unbelievable year, but like it's Evan Longoria. Like I'll take that guy in my 8 hole any day. He's been there, done that.
And looks great in a baseball uniform.
Oh,
guy does it, man.
Yeah.
And how about he made a couple of huge plays in the Milwaukee game? The first game.
Sick play.
Hands don't sleep.
They haven't slept for the 15 years he's been in the big leagues.
19 years, yeah.
Ian, we didn't get to see it, and I honestly didn't know the answer to this. Were all 3 games at one place, no matter what, or did the third game go back? Okay,
Yep.
it did. Okay. That's what I didn't know if like game 3 just to like cut down travel, but I was like, that wouldn't really make sense for game 3 to go to the road team. Or
no, that was
record.
the whole thing of like, how do we give an advantage to the teams with the better record? Was making sure that you got all 3 of those games at home, which is great. And
but it worked out because two home teams won and 2 road teams won. Like the Rangers went into Tampa and kind of spanked them a little bit.
You know, before we get into Rangers Tampa, you know who is probably, having all of their AG1 every morning? The D-backs. I heard they would. I heard they would go into Milwaukee, and I heard it was how much AG1 can we drink before this game? AG1's great for recovery before a workout or even after when you need a boost. AG1 is so much more than a greens powder. It's all of your key health products in one. Set yourself up for success with 75 high-quality ingredients that give you key daily nutrients and long-term gut health support. So we're going to give you free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to Drink AG1. That is drinkag1.com/compound. drinkag1.com/compound. Tampa.
I mean, I think that team was just kind of done with all their injuries. I mean, that's tough.
A lot of injuries. Lose one
situation. Like, I mean, that I kind of felt bad for. They showed Kevin Cash during one of the games, and I was just like, he's probably just sitting there. Like, again, they're still an unbelievable team, but he's just like, man, like, this sucks.
We were so good for like it.
Yeah.
And the Rangers
tough.
are so good.
I mean, it's like even the Orioles too. Like that division, it was neck and neck all year, and then, I mean, they were down 11-4 or 3 at one point, and then Aaron Hicks hit a big homer. Tom, right? I don't know if I saw that correctly. He had I think 5 RBIs the other day.
Anytime Aaron Hicks does anything, I just get tweets at me now. So I know it's good. I know if anything's happened with Aaron Hicks.
You're right.
But yeah, I mean, that series, like myself included, I was like, oh, I mean, Rangers have been absolutely scuffling the last month or so. They'll win 6, they'll lose 8, they'll win 7, they'll lose 9. Like, you just kind of didn't know what you were getting. But at the same time, the team is filled with older guys who have been there and done that. So it's like, I don't think they got too in panic mode. They're like, listen, guys, done this all year. We've won a zillion games. We absolutely bang. We'll be all right. Then they get Josh Young back from his injury. I mean, that's huge. Like that dude is automatic, or he was automatic against us at third. I mean, bangs. He thinks he's in 8th right now, and it's like you have Seager and Simeon leading off, or Simeon and Seager leading off. Like they have the pieces, man. But I mean, the bullpen's a little whatever. But for the core of that team to not panic and kind of just go into Baltimore and say, "Hey, we'll take 2."
No, I was just going to mention how Scherzer's still out too.
Yeah.
Like Scherzer's not even on the roster for the LDS. Like, imagine if they can get through this and then you get Scherzer back for the ALCS.
I mean, I was thinking about, you play all year, you have that lead in the division, kind of gets taken away from you. Then you're fighting really hard the last few weeks of the season. And then the Astros take the division again. You kind of felt like, we're going to establish ourselves. We're going to take this division, and we're going to be like the team that dominates the AL West moving forward. And the Astros catch them late. And then now you have to go play the wild card game. And that's a real gut punch. It's a real gut punch to be like, shit, we were going to win this division. Now we don't win the division. Now we have to go to the wild card game, and to bounce back the way they did against a good Tampa team and go, you know what? We've been here. We can do this. Like, a lot of experience in the clubhouse, like you said. Like, that's a big deal. And those arms at the back end for them that have struggled a little bit, Will Smith and Chapman, like, those guys are dudes. And
they've been there. They've been
pitched
there
in the playoffs. So, like,
yeah, I think
that's that situation. Those are the guys that you trust,
especially in the bullpen. That's kind of, I don't know. I mean, again, that's the biggest thing. I think the position players, you're in the game the whole time. You can kind of get used to it, but like the bullpen is usually what it always comes down to. And if those guys have been there, they can kind of control their heartbeat a little bit better than other guys. And I think that's huge. Like, regardless of what he's done in the middle of the year, like, I would still take Aroldis Chapman in a playoff game opposed to some other people who have never been there.
Just imagine if DeGrom was healthy too. How nasty that rotation would be to go with the bullpen. I mean, that'd be scary. Do you think the Orioles have a chance? They have to go win 2 in Texas now. I felt bad because Baltimore was rocking. Like, it looked like an electric place, and I felt bad they lost. But like I feel like, didn't Texas jump out both games? Like, took big leads right away.
Yeah, I think the first one was a little bit more back and forth.
But I know the second game, like Texas was up like 5-0 after the first, it was 5-2 after the second inning, 9-2 after the third inning.
They did what you need to do on the road. They took out the home crowd pretty much immediately, especially in an environment like that.
Especially in Baltimore, where it's been however many years since they played at home, like they're just waiting to explode. And for them to just kind of completely take them out of it for 7 innings, like that's fucking hard to do.
It would be nice for Baltimore moving forward. Just whatever happens this series for them moving into next year with this like ridiculously young group that they have to just win a playoff game. It would be really nice just to win. Like, even if they don't make it through the series, you win a playoff game. You go, all right, we learned a lot, and then they can build on it. Hey, Tom,
you were talking about this the other day. I don't see it because I just looked up who's starting tonight. Evaldi's starting for the Rangers, and I don't know if you can get to that guy.
He's guy,
a lot of playoff baseball too.
He's a good pitcher.
I don't know if I sent it to Dakota, our group, or a different one, but I was like, I can't believe this guy is still pitching at such a high level. Like we faced him this year. I was a late scratch to go in, and I was like, oh, that's on my birthday. I'm like, oh, great. Valdi on my birthday. And like I had my first AB, I had a really long AB. I think it was like 8 to 10 pitches, fouling everything off. And he throws me a front hip cutter, full count. And I'm like, it was like the Pilar at bat last night where I'm like, I promise you that's fucking off the plate. I promise you. Go back in the dugout. Next inning, you see it split the line. And I'm like, dude, how?
What a pitch.
Fuck, man. You know? And again, he's thrown in some huge fucking games. And if he's your game 3 starter right now, up 2-0, yeah. Thanks. Sorry.
We faced him at Wrigley this year, early in the year when it was a little cold, and he was pumping it. It was like, this guy's got stuff.
He's another guy that like has been banged up throughout his career, but when he's healthy, he's top 20 pitcher, starting pitcher in baseball, top 15. Like he's disgusting. I remember when he threw for the Red Sox, Tom, and he'd throw against the Yankees, and he would just be sitting like 98. And I'm like, what's happening? Like, this isn't real. You can't do this as a starter.
That run that he had in, 18 when they won the World Series is unmatched. He was unbelievable that postseason. I think one of the like best postseason runs that doesn't get talked about a lot because it's not like an all-time legend, but that was a legendary run he went on.
Yeah,
dude, he's got it, man. He's got it.
So
Orioles are in a tough spot.
Tom, can I ask you a question about the AL East?
Yeah.
When the playoffs come, as an AL East guy like you are, and your AL East is the best division in baseball, and I love the Yanks and AL East. When the playoffs come, do you root for the AL East to then prove that the Yankees are playing in the best division, or are you like, fuck the AL East teams, I want them to lose, and I don't want them to have any glory?
That's like the college football playoff when it's like, do you root for a Big Ten team? I'm like, hell no. Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I think most of the time it's really a case by case basis. Like the Blue Jays, fuck no. Glad they got swept. The Rays, no. The Orioles, like I mean, other than you guys being annoying about Aaron Hicks and having to hear about that, I like the Orioles. So I have nothing against the Orioles. So I was rooting for them, but the other two teams now.
The Orioles are very lovable because I don't want to say like lovable losers because they're not. They haven't been like the Cubs or Red Sox like that long of a streak, but I feel like that's kind of been the team that's never threatened the Yankees too much. So you're like, I don't really hate the Orioles. They're all right.
That's what I am like. It's weird, but like the Twins and like watching them beat an AL East team, it's like, oh, that's dope. Like I'm not rooting for anybody, but like it's funny playing them so many times. It's like I know what moves they're gonna make at certain times, so it's kind of like I'm a little bit more inclined to watch those games. Like, oh, like, man, if they get it to Brock Stewart here, like this game's over, like I don't really know many other guys in their pens for the most part.
They're also like when you play in the division and like AL Central and NL Central get some shit, and like AL Central was getting a lot of shit this year for like they would be like the Twins would be the last team in the AL East. That was like for a majority of the year. It was like, look at this, like the Twins are 500 and the worst team in the East is 5 games over. Twins are a good team. Twins are well built.
Dakota, what did I say? Dakota, what did I say when I was like, hey man, like I don't know if it's just because they're playing us or the AL Central, but like they're a frisky team, and if you get Carlos Correa in the postseason, like you don't know what's gonna happen. I read this thing the other day. I forgot who walked in front of Correa, but I guess Altuve was talking to the guy on second, and he was like, "Hey man, like if Correa comes up here, I've seen this movie too many times. Like he's gonna get a big hit." And it was off of Framber, I think. And I guess he came up, and as the guy was going to second, he looked at Altuve. And Altuve just kind of smiled, like, "I've seen it, bro. I've seen it too many times. Like this guy's a fucking gamer."
I'll be honest. I'm not rooting for either of those teams. I want both of those teams to lose.
They're
Don't like either one.
starting rotations built for it too. Sonny
Sonny great tonight.
Sonny's he's got the right mentality for it. He competes his ass off.
Pablo.
Joe Ryan
Pablo
is
shoved.
Joe Ryan
Pablo-
is nasty. And Pablo, dude, Pablo's like the trade of the offseason that wasn't talked about, like because it was fair for both teams, and Arise had a great year too. But like Pablo goes over there, he was a good pitcher in Miami, but kind of overshadowed by Sandy. And then he goes there and signs that deal, and you're like, this dude is legit. And how many of those other teams, there wasn't a lot of teams that had an Arise to trade, but like how many of those other teams are going like, shit,
Yeah.
This guy was available, and like we didn't go get him and then extend him for the like that deal now looks phenomenal.
He was always a really good pitcher. And then I was actually reading watched a video of him speaking the other day. He was like, they talked about his new sweeper because he used to just be like predominantly heater and then changeup. And he was like, listen, I had to give righties the other side of the plate to like worry about. So he's like, because if everything's kind of coming into me, they're a little bit comfortable. They can kind of eliminate one side of the plate. And he's like, I was talking to the Twins, and they kind of implemented the seam shifting. And he's like, bro, like if you can find a grip to do this, you're going to open up a whole new side of the plate. And that's what he did. Like he's throwing his nasty sweeper now in huge spots where it used to just be changeup. And I mean, it completely made him, I don't want to say a new pitcher, but like, bro, he's nasty. Absolutely nasty.
And he's always taken the ball. I think one of those things that's underrated is that he's thrown a bunch of innings, and like he is the type of guy that can go out there and give you the innings year after year. And last year in Miami, he made 32 starts through 180 innings with a 3.75. Year before that, he had 20 starts with a 3. He had always been good. But he threw 194 innings this year with a 3.66, made 32 starts in consecutive years. Like that's super, super valuable.
It's pretty sick to see Royce Lewis doing what he's doing too now.
Oh, dude.
He's disgusting.
Every time like he would play, it's like, man, this guy's gonna be good. Then something would like I think he tore his ACL twice. Like
back.
And then this year, he hurt his oblique. This year, right before the playoffs, he hurt his hamstring. And watching him, especially on the national stage now, it's kind of like, bro, this team, I'm telling you, like, they have some pieces. They're good. And like, this guy just hasn't been on the field, but fuck, he can hit.
But he bangs.
Bangs, man.
He's the type of guy that would look really good in a pair of Bruce Bolts.
Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't? You see the hat I'm wearing? Bruce Bolt.
Sure do.
They sent me this. It's a really nice hat. You should go look at it on brucebolt.us. Nice hat. And you know what else? If you're getting ready for the off season, need to swing the lumber a little bit, get yourself a pair of Bruce Bolt batting gloves. Look at the Signature Series. Look at the Happ Series. Got the baby blues. Got the white with the baby blues. And they also have these shorts, 5-inch, 7-inch. They're super lightweight, 4-way stretch material. Great for working out, great for BP. brucebolt.us. That's brucebolt.us for the best gear in the game. You know what has been nice about this round of the playoffs is that we have 3 series that are tied 1-1. And nobody really expected the DBacks to go out and punch the I know. Sorry. We have 2 series that are 2-1 this 1-1. But the D-backs go out and punch the Dodgers in the nose. But I was a little bit not shocked, but like Phillies win game 1 and shut the Braves out. They shut them out.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
I didn't watch it, but I was following it. And I saw, I saw I watched the recap with the late inning heroics. My goodness.
That was one of the best playoff games I've watched in a long time. I was kind of flipping back and forth between that. And I think the football game was on at the same time. But like once it got late in the game, it was unbelievable. Me and Zack, we were texting about I think the Phillies jumped out. It was like 3-0 or something like that. And I was like, I need the Braves to score here just to get the crowd going because it's a sick field. Like they get the chop going. It's electric. And they came back. And when Austin Riley hit that homer, bananas. Place went bananas.
Dude, I was out on the golf course and I looked at the scores and it was 3-0. And I was like, oh, it's like Phillies are going to go up 2-0 and then get to go home. It's like, oh boy. And then I checked it later and I was like, they lost. But then I had a flashback. I had flashbacks of being in Atlanta and having leads and having them evaporate. And I was like, this team does not stop with the lineup. Like at some point they're going to put up the runs.
We were watching last night in the office, and in the 8th inning, I went and put a bet on the Braves, and everyone was like, why are you putting a bet on the Braves? And I said, I've watched all those Cubs games. I've seen this happen too many times. Because the problem was the Phillies, the Braves are almost like the movie villain, where it's like the horror movie villain, where you have to kill them when you get the chance. They had bases loaded in the first, only got 1 run. They had left 10 men on base by like the 3rd inning. They kept having opportunities. Fried was at 71 pitches in like the middle of the 2nd inning. And somehow got through 4. Like the Braves just kept doing just enough. And I was like, this Braves team, if you give them a chance just to stay around, they're going to find a way to get back into this game. And then, of course, Riley. And then how about Riley? Everyone's talking about the homer. How about the play to throw out Harper at first?
Dude,
that was the unbelievable play. Michael Harris goes back, makes that great catch against the wall, chucks it in to the infield, just trying to get that ball in as quick as you possibly can because Harper was way out there. And I'm sure you guys saw on Twitter, do you see like the stick figure of like where Riley was on the field and how he was moving? So he was like at third base, he was like pointing and yelling towards first, but then he from where he was at third. It's really easy in that play just to watch it happen, just to become a spectator as a player. And because you don't feel like you're going to be involved in that side of the field, he starts moving to behind second base. And it was probably a half like celebration to move closer to your teammates, but also like as the play starts to unfold, he's moving behind the mound. And then before you know it, he's in the middle of that play, makes an unbelievable exchange to get Harper at first. Like that was Derek Jeter-esque of like being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
I thought Castellanos got that ball too. I thought it was gone.
I think he thought he got it too.
I was like, oh my God. Yeah, he kind of hit it and like didn't like pimp it, but he kind of like was watching. He's like, that might go. That might go. I said it to Zack last night though, in our group chat. I wanted to ask what you thought. I'm not a fan. Minter threw in the 8th. Harper was leading off the 9th. Lefty. They kept Minter in. He ends up walking Harper. And then you bring in your closer. I'm not a fan of that. I'm more of a your closer's your closer. It's the 9th inning of a 1-run game. Your closer's throwing. I don't care about matchups. And then when they bring in Iglesias, they said it on the broadcast. They said that's the first time Iglesias has come into the game and inherited a runner all season. And I'm like, well, maybe not the time to do that for the first time. It ended up working out. It was close to not working out, but it ended up working out. But I was like, I don't like that. Closers want the 9th inning. Like the 9th inning is their inning.
I want to see Minter splits.
Oh, and that's what I said. It was like, I get it. Like you want Minter, who probably dominates lefties, to face Bryce Harper, who probably doesn't hit as well off lefties as he does righties.
No, I was just like, to look at the splits. The splits are almost identical. He's got a 884 OPS against lefties and a 907 against righties. So
at
least this year, there's not statistically. I mean, granted, obviously he's got more at bats against righties than he does against lefties, but not a huge difference statistically.
Wait, you said OPS?
Yeah, he's got an 884 OPS against lefties and a 907 against righties.
Harper, not Minter, Zach.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was talking about Minter. Sorry.
What's Minter versus lefties?
That's what I'm trying to find it right now.
While he tries to find that, can I also say one thing about Castellanos? I'm looking at his at-bats from yesterday. His first at-bat, he had a single at 12 degrees at 109.7. Laser.
200. You could have told me it was 200, I believe you.
Then he walked. Then he had a single that was 26 at 76. So just a nice little bleeder to right that he stayed inside of. Then he hits a ball 106.6 at 20 for an out to center field. And then the last play of the game that was an out was 25 at 100.8. He was swanging it, and he got.
He's a guy.
He was
came
two
up
for
last,
2 for 4 with 5 unbelievable.
He came up last night, and I was like, they have an unreal lineup. Like, you got Harper, you got Schwarber, you got Trey Turner. He's the kind of guy that, like, I feel like he's just got that clutch gene. Like, he obviously ended up getting out, but like, I feel like that's a guy that I'm like, if he's at the plate, I'm a little nervous if I'm the other team. I'm like, this guy, he lives for these moments.
And what a great redemption year. You know, he signs that year in Philly, or signs that deal in Philly, has a tough year last year and comes back and bangs this year. And then like to be able to, you know, do it in the playoffs for them is awesome. I think they're a deep team. They're a good team. Obviously the Braves are really good, but that series is going to be really fun to watch.
Oh yeah. I'm pumped. I said it yesterday. I was like, I'm like very excited for this game tonight.
That place going back to Philly is going to be an absolute
Citizens Bank. Well, because that's what Zack said it. You were like, are the Phillies dead now? And I'm like, dude,
no, I did not say that. No way.
Oh no, it was Scott, of course, of all people.
No, Zack said it. Zack said it.
No, it was Scotty Efros. He goes, I think the Phillies might be dead now after losing a game like that. And I'm like, they're going back to Citizens Bank. The crowd won't let them be dead.
I also think like they have so much experience from what they went through last year. Like one heartbreaker loss isn't going to kill them.
And last year, Castellanos was not nearly the player he was this year. Like he was struggling for his, I don't want to say for his life, but like not what Nick Castellanos does. And Bryson Stott was basically a 9-hitter defensive not defense replacement, but just like a shortstop. Hey man, need you just to hit ninth and just make every play. He's been one of, if not their most consistent hitters from top to bottom this year.
They're deeper this year than they were last year.
Yeah, and I mean,
too.
Yeah,
Kimbrel's doing it. Like
Kimbrel, right?
The other series, the Twins and the Astros. I want to say one thing about the old Twins, which was I believe was in the first series. It was in the first series when they picked off Vladdy at second. Did you guys see the A-Rod's breakdown of what happened on the play?
I did not.
A-Rod was like, if you see right here, Sonny Gray touches his bill in his hat.
I did.
And that signals that it's hot. And then this happens. And I'm thinking to myself, the catcher 100%, I'll say 97%, push the button that said pick 2.
Yeah.
And it came from Correa. And after they said Correa called it, Correa called it to the catcher, pick to second, and then he put the thing on because Sonny Gray was like, I heard pick 2, and I was like, oh, okay. But it wasn't like a Sonny Gray called it with a hat thing. It was it's in the ear, and you push the button, and it goes.
Do you know how locked in Correa would have had to have been staring at Sonny Gray and would be like, oh fuck, that's on.
Well, they could have just made eye contact.
I agree, but
in that moment, Sonny Gray is so locked in on throwing pitches, like and I think this is confirmed. Like I said, 97%. But Correa and the catcher were on the same page, and Correa got him to push the button.
Yeah.
Do you think there was like a sign from Correa to the catcher of like they must have some sort of like discreet sign of?
They probably have a pants pick. You know, you pull your pants, or they probably have something to signal that he wants the pick at second, and that went through the catcher.
Dude, it's so true. Like what Correa said about not being able to hear your third base coach. Because usually that's the thing that gives it away. Obviously, if you're a guy on second, if you can't hear shit, you're kind of just sitting there like.
Because you can't look behind you.
You can't, because as soon as you look, you're done. But like, it's such again, back to Correa, like it sounds easy, but like, how often do you see picks at second in a big spot with second and third, right?
You rarely even see back picks to second, like even attempted. Like it's usually like they'll just step off and like look you back if you're jumping off, but like the flash play like that never happens.
Exactly.
You know what else is hilarious? Just in the big league in general, like you play in these stadiums, big moments, and there's always the coach or whether it's the dugout or the third base coach or whatever who's saying like, get a bigger lead, we need you to score on a single. The players are so good. The Sonny Gray is such an athlete. Like the turn and pick and it's on the bag, like if you're extended on your primary lead, like once you get out there, you're fucked.
Oh yeah.
Like you have no chance to get back on that. And it's the same thing at first. So if you're first and second and they're telling like get big at first so that you can like score from first on a double, something that's close. If you have a good duo between the catcher and the first baseman, and Riz was really good at this with Wilson and good with Rossi before that. If you can throw that like outside corner fastball or even pitch out and redirect it to first, and the first baseman crashes behind the runner, like if you're extended out there, you have no chance. And when the stadium gets loud and it's the playoffs, like you have to be so aware of everything that's happening on the field because the game is so fast. I wish you could put a normal, and people were saying about Vladdy, I'm sure Blue Jays fans weren't happy and people are, well, how do you get picked in that situation? I would love to put a normal person out there at second base, and they could even stand 2 feet off the base. And like the amount of panic that would go through someone's body as the pitcher that you think is going to throw home flips around and throws a dot to second base right on the bag. Like
it's almost
well
easier.
It's indefensible.
It's almost easier to get him at second too, because like you said, like you're usually not expecting a back pick at second base. Like at first base, you're like, all right, like they could pick over here. Like you got to be careful. Like, especially with Vlad, he's probably got a one-way lead if he's at first. But at second, like you said, he's like, I got to score on a single. So he's like, all right, I got to get ready to, like I got to get ready to take my secondary or else I'm hosed at home. So he's probably like getting ready to jump off. And then all of a sudden he's like, uh-oh, they got me.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse going back, knowing, like, I bet you that run for Harper last night, knowing that there's a slight chance if something fucks up, you're safe. But as soon as you see the first baseman like stretch out, you're just like,
doesn't he got to be? I asked Zack this, Ian. If you're Harper, aren't you supposed to be like? You could probably still be rounded second, but like you're a couple steps past second, reading the ball, right? Like you can't. I'm guessing he was like full speed.
It's like it's really weird. Like that's something where he's out, and it's like that can't happen because again, like you can't really end the game on that. But if that ball hits off the wall and it goes right to somebody, and he's standing on third, somebody is saying, how the fuck don't you score on that? And then if he does score, if that ball last night, everyone's like, oh my God, what a read by Harper. And I think I agree, Dakota, obviously, like he should have been a step or two closer to second. But at the same time, like if you go, I don't know, like if you look back at it, it wasn't even going to hit off, or like it was going to hit off the wall, but it wasn't. Like, I don't know, but
there's two ways for that play to go. If Michael Harris goes after that ball and doesn't catch it and is jumping against the wall, if he's a step from second base, he'll score.
Yeah.
Unless Michael Harris makes an amazing recovery. If Michael Harris comes up short and plays that off the wall and he's not past second base, he's not scoring.
That's what I was more alluding to when you say like you don't score. Like if he plays it, like you said, off the wall and everyone's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you didn't
score on a double? So that play, when you're the runner, you have two options. You can either go, I'm going to get all the way to second base, one step short of it, and then I'm going to take off when I see it down. But that's going to take a good bounce for you to score after that. The other way to play it,
running from a stagnant like that, if you're standing right there, is fucking hard. It takes you like at least 5 to 7 steps to get moving again to top speed.
That's why I'm saying, shouldn't you be like a couple steps past second base? And then I feel like even if you're 3 steps past second base towards third, once you see he catches it, like you have time to touch second, run back to first. Like I feel like, I don't know, you guys are the base runners.
I think that's what he did. He got around second, but at some point you make a decision to go. So it's almost impossible to read that play off the bat and go, I'm going to sprint as hard as I can to get 2 steps past second base and then make my decision. Like you're kind of as soon as the ball is hit, you take off, and then you're kind of jumping or moving with, all right, where is this thing going to land? And he took off just a hair early and then had to redirect and go back. But once your momentum is stopped or moving in one direction, changing that is so difficult.
He kind of slipped too going back, which again, I think if he got back or started going back right away, I think it would have been a little bit closer. But slipping in that situation, I mean, you're automatically out. Like There's no.
Also just like great heads up play by Harris to make that unreal catch and be like, I got to fire this back in.
Yeah, which is crazy because it was like an in-between hop for Ozzy. Like,
yeah,
if Riley's not celebrating or like what Ian said, like nobody's talking about it. Again, it was just kind of, I don't want to say a shitty throw, but like overthrew the first guy and then short hop Ozzy, the second guy. And it's like,
what a cannon to throw it that far, by the way.
Yeah.
He plays the shit out of center field, man.
Oh,
well, to move Acuna from center to right, like you bet you must be a pretty good outfielder.
He runs it down out there. I hit a ball when we were there, 102 plus, right to the corner in right center, the deepest part of the park. It was 405 was what the number said, how far it went. I hit it and I went, that's got a chance. He put his head down and ran and was running with his head down all the way until he got to the track, turned around and was camped under it and caught it. And like usually a center fielder goes back on a ball like that and they like run back, like try to feel for the wall and like catch it. He literally sprinted full out with his head down and then turned around and was right under the ball. I was like, what's going on? But he plays the shit out of it out there. And that's a big center field that he mans. And he does.
I need that series to go to Game 5 back at Truist Park.
Oof.
Need it.
It would be sick. It would be sick too if Philly wins it. If Philly wins tonight and then wins tomorrow at home, the celebration there would still be bananas.
They don't play till tomorrow, but yes, I agree.
Like I said.
And they got Nola on the bump too. I mean, but real quick, Wheeler is not fair. He's legit not fair. He throws 98 at the top of the zone, and then his slider is like, it's moving 5 feet.
Well,
starts behind the right.
He throws a 4 and a 2.
Yeah.
So,
dude,
like
his
four seam explodes.
Dude, it's so hard.
He's so like his ability to go to lefties 4 up with the curveball under and then to righties, sinker it on their hands and slider
and 4 up if you need
sweeper,
it.
whatever you talk. And so like he lives off 2 different sets of pitches for righties and lefties. And then he has the other ones in his bag. So like if you're a lefty, you're facing him and he's going 4 up at 98, curveball down. Then he's got 4, which it's almost like so straight that it cuts a little bit. So he's got like, and he commands it. So he's got like backdoor 4, and then he's got inside 4. Then occasionally he'll throw the sweeper to you back foot with 2 strikes, and he's got the sinker, so he can sink it down and away, and he can hip shot you. He doesn't use them a lot, but he still has them. And the fact that so for righties, it's the same thing. He's going to sink it in on your hands at 96, 98. Then he's going to throw the sweeper away. And if he wants to finish you with a 4 seam up late, like he has it. And so you're respecting so many different pitches, and his ability to go back and forth and have feel for those pitches is bananas.
Speaking of pitch sequences, I was watching that Diamondbacks Dodgers game yesterday. Gallen was pitching. I want to say it was like the 4th or 5th inning. Might have been the 4th. And Freddie Freeman's at the plate, and it's 1st and 3rd, 2 outs, like 3-1 game. Diamondbacks are up. Freddie Freeman, unbelievable hitter, works a good count. 2-2. Gallen throws him his nasty 12-6 curveball, like starts mid-thigh, waist, breaks into the dirt. Freddie, like half check swing, spits on it. I texted in our group. I was like, what a take. Very next pitch, Gallen says, oh, you took that? Throws the same pitch, but lands it just above the knee. Strike 3 look. And I'm like, what do you do with that? Like as a hit, like you can't, I don't know. You're toast.
The thing about him too is that he has the carry 4.
Yeah.
And he can command the shit out of the carry 4 away. And he just puts it away, and then he'll put it up and away, which is for a lefty, like as tough as it is to handle a pitch, the 4 that hits the up and away corner. So when he throws that 4 to the up and away line, you're trying to take it because it's probably not going to come down. It's going to be a couple inches above the zone. So when he throws the strike curveball off, it's off the same line. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure when that came out of hand, Freddie Freeze thinking that's a heater up and away that I'm not swinging at. And then that pitches.
And he had just set him up by bouncing the curveball right before it. So he's like, all right, he just bounced it. Like he's probably not going to throw it again. Like he doesn't want to walk me and load the bases. Like he's probably going to go fastball. Starts up at like his waistline, drops right at the knees, and I'm like, that's
That's a
you
pitch.
tip your cap. You go, great job.
You know what I want to talk about really quick?
ERC.
ERC. The Employee Retention Credit is a government tax incentive that helps small businesses around the Midwest and everywhere get back to up to $26,000 per employee for overpayment of payroll taxes during the pandemic. If you're a business owner with 5 to 500 W-2 employees who continue to pay taxes and employ staff during the pandemic, recover the payroll taxes you overpaid. Omega Accounting Solutions was voted #1 best ERC company for getting your ERC funds. And you can go to 800-643-CUBS. That's the phone number, or smallbizcashback.com/Cubs. Small biz with the Z, cashback.com/Cubs for a free consultation. I think we've covered all the series.
Can we make predictions this week?
Yeah, let's make predictions halfway through the division series.
Well, you said you didn't want to do it last week.
Tom said he didn't want to do it. It wasn't me. I wanted to do it. Tom said no.
I think Jets win on Sunday against the Eagles. They move them to 5-1. It's my prediction.
I don't
feeling
foresee
good about
that
your Jets?
happening. There's no way.
They got to lose at some point.
I don't know. I don't know if it'll be to the Jets. Should we just do champion and the 2 World Series teams? Let's just do 2 World Series teams.
I got rematches last year. Phillies winning.
Is it a bad question if I ask you who they played in the AL? With the Astros? Is the Astros Phillies? Is that who it was last year? Astros Phillies?
Yes.
All right. Just making sure. Just making sure you knew. I knew, but I was making sure you and Ian knew. Just, making sure.
I got Phillies Rangers.
I got. We should have done this before, because now I want to say Dodgers, but I just don't.
All right, you said Dodgers.
I still think
coming
Dodgers,
down 0-2. Nice.
I still think they could come back in their series. I don't trust their starting pitching, though. I'm going to go Braves, Rangers. Rangers win it all. Max Scherzer comes back, throws games 1, 4, and 7.
I got Phillies winning it all. Phillies, Rangers, Phillies win it all. Tom?
I was going to say Braves, Rangers. So
yes, that's a good thing. Tom watches more baseball than any of us. Let's go. Means I'm smart. Who's winning it, though, Tom? You got to pick a winner.
probably the Braves.
All right. You went Braves. I went Rangers. I hope we both make it. We have a showdown.
Tom, how are the vibes in the office around playoff baseball?
Oh, this is the best time of the year. We're there late nights, watching the games, doing work, grinding. It's great.
I will say that the games out west still just stinks when we're on the East Coast. Like that Diamondbacks Dodgers game was in like the 6th inning last night, and it was like 11:30 here. I was like, I gotta go to sleep. I can't stay up and watch this whole game. It might not end until 12:30, 1 o'clock. It stinks because I want to watch.
I wonder what the viewership looks like. I wonder if like the West Coast is really watching. So there's enough viewers, for game
I'm sure
time
there
purposes.
is. I'm sure there's a good amount. Probably not as much as like I bet the Phillies Braves series like has the most viewership of any by a good amount.
Yeah.
We got two games today, 4 games tomorrow.
Yes, I believe so.
Who's starting for the D-backs got to throw. They're gonna do a bullpen day kind of thing. Same
versus
thing
Lance
they did game
Lynn.
1.
Lance Lynn, I feel like could go out there and shove.
Lance Lynn could go out there and shove.
He's a vet. And then the Phillies got Nola going. Braves didn't like announce their starter yet. You got to think the Phillies have the upper hand in that with Nola going.
Yeah.
I don't know who the Braves are starting, but I just feel like you had Wheeler and then you got Nola tomorrow. And then do you bring, if you lose tomorrow, you got to bring back, who's their 4th? Like they're going to bring back Ranger Suarez, right?
I think it'll be Ranger.
Yeah. Like he'd be on 3 days rest, 4 days rest. I think 4 days because I think they had a day off after game 1.
Yeah.
I think you definitely bring back Ranger Suarez. Have to. If you lose. If you win, though, do you still run him out there that soon or do you save him for game 5? Or do you go Ranger game 4, Wheeler game 5 on short rest as well, if needed?
I think Rangers still in game 4 no matter what.
You think so? All right. I don't know who their 4th starter is. That's why I'm not sure if they have.
Oh, Taiwan Walker.
Oh, you might go Taiwan Walker game 4.
Run Taiwan Walker out there.
But then say you go to game 5.
Then Rangers on full rest, or you go to Zack Wheeler. So
I think you start Ranger, have Wheeler ready to go.
Everybody's available at that point.
Yeah, for sure. This is the stuff of the playoffs I love, because it's who's got nuts, who's got the big nuts, who wants to throw on 3 days rest after throwing 100 pitches. Who wants?
Did you see what Minter said last night?
Yeah, he said the bullpen.
He said it was just heart and nuts.
Because they had basically 2 bullpen days.
Yeah.
Or no. Yeah. Because didn't Strider not go very deep?
I'm not sure. I think he still went at least 5, right?
Oh no, Strider went 7. But yeah, I think he was more so saying like they threw.
Yeah.
What did Fried go 4? Fried went into the 4th.
I think he was more saying they held him to no runs and let their offense get.
Yeah, Kirby Yates gave up 1 unearned run, but then they went like 4 guys through 1 inning, no runs.
Sloan Screen Time, presented by Sloan. Sloan's the world's leading manufacturer of commercial plumbing systems. The company is at the forefront of the green building movement and provides smart, sustainable, and hygienic restroom solutions by manufacturing water-efficient products, including flush-o-meters, faucets, sink systems, soap dispensers, and fixtures for commercial, industrial, and institutional markets worldwide. To learn more, visit sloan.com.
Oh my God. I think this is my worst one ever. This is bad. Zack, you go first. 9 hours, 9 minutes.
Oh my. Oh my goodness. That's
a really bad day. And it followed up Sunday, which was 8 hours, 59 minutes. I'm gonna have to go touch some grass, I think. I'm gonna have to get outside.
Out of the house, man.
That's not good. Ooh.
Zack?
5:25.
That's normally a bad day, but 9 makes that look like a great day.
3:55 for me. 3:55. Tom?
5:51.
It's a good day, Tom. It's a good day.
I was hoping you'd make me look better, Tom.
Dakota, that was as bad as it gets. I'm feeling really good about being
let's pick up a book, maybe, man.
I know, that's tough. That's not good. That's not a good day.
What are you doing? You're just laying on the couch
with your
phone pressed to your face?
I don't remember it being that high.
I think that's something wrong with the phone.
Yeah, it had to be like the screen was. I had maps on. Phone calls.
Yep. Remember when Happ tried that nonsense?
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, I had phone calls all day."
Maps, man. Maps will get you. That's episode 179 of the Compound Podcast, presented by Parse Rum. Go to Binny's, go to your local liquor store, ask about Parse. See you next week.